what you're looking at are the recovered bullets from a ballistics test that I did a couple days ago. On the left are 124 grain HST, and on the right are 124 grain plus P gold dots. I ideally wanted to test the 124 plus P HST instead of the 124 grain standard pressure, but I would have to order a box of 50 online. I don't want that many, and I can just walk into Gander Mount and get these straight in the box. So I just went with the 124 grain standard pressure. Not perfect comparison, but I just had to make do. A quick run through what my protocol was. I had a pork shoulder that I got at Walmart on sale. And then I had two old basketball shoes that I've had for many years that finally the base is just worn off. You know, the very bottom where the rubber is just completely ripped off. So I ripped the rubber part off and used just the leather or the pleather part of the shoe. And then inside of the shoe, I stuffed, well, the first few shots I did, I stuffed in a bone that I bought at the pet shop just to see what would happen. It ended up that it shattered. And you can see some of these bullets here, maybe even these, it shattered and it didn't, go like I thought. So I ended up not really using the bone for most of the shots. And there were a couple that went through everything, even through the notebook paper. Lost one HST that way and 2 gold dots, I'm not sure. So even though each individual bullet wasn't given the exact same target, each time that I shot a gold dot through a certain setup, I shot it the same. I shot an HST through a certain setup. So if I shot 2 gold dots, say for example, if I shot 2 gold dots just through the shoe and then into the pork shoulder, then I shot 2 HSTs into the shoe and into the pork shoulder. So I hope you can kind of figure out what I'm saying here. Let's look at them here. In general, the positives of the gold dot is that they expanded a little bit bigger than the HSTs. And they all expanded, of course, besides these two. Positives of the HSTs is they were consistent and they all expanded besides these two. So it's kind of consistency versus size, I guess. But I would almost kind of say versatility. Because the gold dots, even though you see I've kind of divided them out here, these are the smaller, a little bit larger. These ones caved in on themselves. Biggest, even though they didn't retain 100% of the weight. And then these ones are kind of the more perfect, or the more that they kind of look the most like when they come out of the gel. These are actually the biggest ones, I think, too. Whereas the HSTs are all just so. They're all just so similar, Some of them look a little bit more perfect than the other ones. But in general, they all just, the tip of the bullet expanded and the base, it's getting kind of blurry here. What it looks like the HSTs do is, let's pick one here, it's easier to see. See if it'll focus. Man, it's under the light and it's still so dark. The nose of the bullet, God, it's blurry, isn't it? This Samsung is kind of catching up with me. I bought it because it was only $100 and it's just not. Oh man, I could use my iPhone. I didn't think of that. It's almost full. It probably wouldn't hold the storage. Anyway, sorry about it being blurry, but this is a crappy phone. So what it looks like the HSTs do is the tip of the bullet, like the nose of the bullet, will expand, and then the base, beyond where that, it's kind of focused in there, beyond where that canalor is, whatever they call it, that stays intact. So basically the reason they look so consistent is because that canalor just kind of, the base of the bullet is still intact and all the mess is there in the nose, right? Well, the gold dots, they're not held back by any base. They just, if they start to expand and it goes beyond, they just keep going. So you have some gold dots here that expanded a little bit bigger than these, and you have some that expanded a little smaller. but these were more consistent in general. Of course, we did have this. We had these two here, jacket core separation. But to be fair, even though these ones weren't jacket core separation, of course, because it's a ball in the bullet, they still retain so little weight. This basically weighs the same anyway. What's the difference? One difference I could probably think of is these ones, because they didn't just break into two pieces, the fragments that came off probably did it over a wider space. So it may have left a little bigger of a wound channel. I don't know, because I didn't look at wound channel or any of that. Basically, we're just looking at retained weight and expansion. So, by the way, I think there's 18 of these, and then there's 19. So there's one more gold dot than there is of HSTs, in case you didn't notice that already. But the end result is here. I can't come to a conclusion about which one is the better of the two. It's still just a big mess. But anyway, I thought I would make a video just to put it out there, because there's not a lot, there's extensive information with the ballistics and the, FBI protocol and all that, but not a lot of backyard ballistics stuff. And since I spent so much time doing this, I thought, why not go ahead and share it, and maybe some people view it and comment on it and add their 2 cents and help me, think about it. Because, in my opinion, that's part of the whole gun thing is talking and hearing other people's opinions. And I know there's a lot of people who don't care about the whole ballistics argument, they all just poke holes. It's all the same thing. Well, I don't agree with that conclusion, because in my opinion, ammo, the little persnicketies of your ammo selection, it matters. It makes as much difference as choosing your caliber or your barrel length, as the type of ammo you choose. So in my opinion, part of this whole thing is kind of just share ideas and put, your heads together and kind of try to come to a conclusion here. By myself, I can't come to a conclusion with all this. So what do you think? Which one would you prefer? Just for people to look at. Hopefully that's kind of informative. I wish I could get closer, but like I said, this phone's really cheap, so it's cheap camera. You get what you pay for. Blurry. But just thought I would share the results, because why not? Oh, that's a lot clearer when I get far away. Blurry. Yeah. In general, I don't know why, but I kind of your mind can only decide so much, right? Your mind can compare results, can crunch numbers, can look at things, put the information together. But in the end, it's either your intuition or your heart or some other sense that's going to make a decision. So with my information, with my mind, I can, get the results here, but that's not really what's going to make the decision for me. I guess I just got to lean on my intuition, and my intuition, for some reason, I don't know why, leans me towards the gold dot design. Leads me towards a bullet whatever happens, it all stays into one blob, versus something that's more specific with what it does. These were consistent. They were all, they all did, not all of them, besides the ones that fragmented or the ones that clogged. Oh, let me see if I can get kind of a close-up. And of the clogged bullets, and not the clogged, but the ones that may be clogged, the gold dots, even though they didn't expand, or even though maybe the petals didn't expand, they kind of still flattened out, and still, this one, still, you see that part still peeling there. It still did something, right? This one is the most perfect of any of them I found. but it's still kind of flattened. You see how the nose is still kind of squished? The HST, this one's squished too. But this one is just kind of like a pristine bullet. Like, I mean, it dented just a tiny bit there, but the base is still, you know, the same. I don't know how a bullet goes through a shoe. It's probably went through the shoe, at least the shoe, the entire pork shoulder, and then smashed into the notebook paper in the back, and comes out like that. I mean, I wouldn't even know if the Full Metal Jacket would do that. My thoughts as to why the bullets performed the way they did. I think the HSTs, because they're not a bonded bullet, I think I read somewhere or saw on one of the forums, the lead is a little bit harder, like a tiny bit harder lead, whereas the gold dots, because they, you know, bond the lead to the copper, the lead, I don't know if the lead is a little bit softer, so it's a little bit smushier. So when it hits something, it splatter, even if it clogs. Or even these ones, these are interesting. Look, these ones kind of imploded, like maybe part of it expanded, but you know, the petals kind of went into the hollow point cavity instead of it going out. But you see, they still came out pretty big, you know. So it seems like the gold dots are a little bit softer, is what I'm trying to say. So whatever happens, they'll do something. Even if they don't expand, they'll still flatten out and tumble. Whereas these, there's still a chance of getting something like that, where it doesn't do anything. So intuitively, I lean towards the one that's going to splatter and at least do something for sure, even if it's not as consistent. But then again, I could change my mind in 5 minutes.